Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Teresa Thomas and today I'm discussing Adam Smith and his relevance to 21st century issues. First, I will do a brief overview of Smith's philosophies and then I will be discussing 21st century issues which challenge the relevance of his philosophy. So, first things first, who was Adam Smith? Adam Smith was an 18th century Scottish economist. He lived from 1723 to 1790, predating the technological boom of the Industrial Revolution. Smith is famous for his economic theories and his two major works, The Wealth of Nations and The Theory of Moral Sentiments. Smith's theories on economics have influenced markets and states for 3 centuries. In my research, I focused on Smith's economic philosophies from The Wealth of Nations. In The Wealth of Nations, Smith introduces the idea that self-interest is beneficial to a healthy market system. He suggests that by serving one's self-interest, one benefits the market and society on the whole. So what does this mean? Smith uses the example of a baker. A baker bakes bread. However, Smith argues that the baker actually bakes the bread for themselves and not the consumer. So you may be thinking, I thought that a baker baked bread to be consumed. And you are partially right, but the key part of that phrase is consumption. Meaning that a baker bakes bread in order to sell it for consumption and consequently to make a profit, thus benefiting themselves. Likewise, the customer buys bread for themselves. While the consumer's actions may be benefiting the baker, they are more immediately benefiting themselves. By purchasing the bread, the consumer benefits themselves by receiving a good. In addition, the consumer benefits the baker by giving them money, and the baker benefits the consumer by providing them with delicious, fresh-baked bread. So this example demonstrates mutual exchange, a side effect of beneficial self-interest. Now, let's move on to another part of Smith's economic philosophy, division of labor. What is division of labor, and why did Smith care? Division of labor is just what it sounds like. Dividing labor. What does this mean on a practical level? To introduce it, I'll use Smith's classic example of making a pin. Let's pretend you are a blacksmith's apprentice and you need to make pins. First, envision the steps. You need to gather the materials and tools to make the pins. So you take a piece of strong wire, measure and cut it. Perhaps you need to make the wire too, and therefore should factor in the material gathering and production of the wire as well. You shape the wire, form the head, sharpen the tip, test its strength and more before you finish it and set it aside. Now you follow the same steps for the next pin, and the next, continuing until you stop working for the day and return tomorrow. This process takes a very long time, and you don't actually produce very many pins. Now let's look at what happens when you divide the different parts of labor. Different workers focus on assorted parts of production. One person is in charge of measuring the wire, one person cuts it, one shapes it, one forms the head, one sharpens the tip, and one tests it and puts it aside. With this type of assembly line, people become more specialized and can perfect their tasks, allowing them to work very quickly. This division of labor lets producers diversify their products and increase rate of production. Furthermore, it helps increase profits benefiting producers. These two economic principles, self-interest and division of labor, appear to be totally beneficial to the market and consequently lead to overall societal growth. However, Adam Smith did not account for the vast technological advancement of the past 2 centuries. As I previously stated, Adam Smith predates the technological boom of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution took place towards the end of the 18th century, but really took root during the 19th century and expanded into the 20th. With the rise of technology and the emergence of large-scale factories came an overwhelming economic boom. As Smith suggested, the division of labor through assembly lines and factories led to great economic development and an increase in the wealth of nations participating in this industrial boom, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom. Yet, Adam Smith did not anticipate such technological advancements in his theories on economics. Therefore, Smith's theories must be taken with a grain of salt. For example, Smith suggests that self-interest benefits a competitive market system and in turn is beneficial to society. However, self-interest and division of labor can have quite negative impacts on the laborer and humanity in general. Throughout my educational career, I have been passionate about the state of the earth and environmental issues. Therefore, I chose to examine Smith's economic philosophies in the context of one of, if not the most important issue of our time, environmental harm and negligence. Smith's theories on economics greatly contributed to the economic boom that occurred in conjunction with the Industrial Revolution. His encouragement of the division of labor led to vast economic growth and promulgated the acceptance and search of new technological means to increase rate of production and consequently the rate of consumption. Technological advancements in industrial machinery increased rate of production. However, as technology continued to progress, many producers prioritized profits over the quality of production and its effects on the environment and even the laborers themselves. Until the establishment and enforcement of environmental protection policies, producers often disposed of industrial waste in environmentally negligent ways. Granted, many of these producers were unaware of the ecological ramifications at the time, but they still chose to let their production waste enter waterways and ecosystems. The blatant disrespect for the earth present during the 19th and 20th centuries has contributed to what some environmental anthropologists deem the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene is essentially the human era of time from which we have impacted the earth. During this time, we have changed the environment at a rapid rate, faster than natural environmental change occurs. Let's look at some of the most environmentally negligent practices: clear cutting, strip mining, improper waste disposal, and, of course, fossil fuel consumption. So, what is clear cutting? Clear cutting is a practice related to deforestation. When a forest is clear cut, all the trees from an area of land are cut down without replanting them. This exposes the soil and contributes to erosion and weathering. When soil is eroded, it contributes to atmospheric pollution and can cloud waterways. Furthermore, without the natural ground cover, pollutants including pesticides, fertilizer, plastics, and other trash laying around can move uninhibited into waterways. Not only can these pollutants be ingested by organisms living within the ecosystem, they actually disrupt the natural processes that occur within it. This pollution prevents sunlight from reaching the subaquatic vegetation, or SAVs, that would photosynthesize to produce oxygen. Oxygen is crucial to the health of aquatic ecosystems. Without the oxygen, animals that rely on it will die and decompose. Due to decomposition, the waterways will fill with nitrogen, causing algal blooms. An algal bloom is the rapid growth of algae on the water's surface, which feeds on nitrogen produced during decomposition. It takes up a large portion of the water's surface, blocking sunlight from the SAVs on the ecosystem floor. Without the sunlight, the SAVs die and produce more nitrogen, perpetuating the cycle. Let's move on to strip mining. Strip mining occurs when mineral-rich land is cut into vertically to access valuable materials such as coal. In this process, the top layer of earth, usually from a mountainside, is removed to access the coal or other materials. During this process, weathering and erosion can occur, causing the same pollution problems as stated above. Additionally, strip mining produces dangerous waste, which leads me to improper waste disposal. Improper waste disposal is closely tied to fossil fuel mining and consumption. When waste from consumption is improperly disposed, it can enter waterways and harm the ecosystems. Furthermore, chemical waste from mining, fossil fuel burning, construction, and other industrial manufacturing processes can seep into the groundwater beneath permeable rock, also known as aquifers. When waste enters aquifers, it can contaminate the water supply. These pollutants damage organisms and can even lead to the development of human health problems. Now let's look at a recurring theme: fossil fuel consumption. The burning of fossil fuels causes atmospheric pollution and other environmental issues. When fossil fuels are combusted, they release gases such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and other harmful fumes. When carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases enter the atmosphere, they contribute to the warming of the planet. Furthermore, carbon dioxide enters the ocean and leads to ocean acidification, in which the ocean's pH is lowered. This contributes to coral bleaching and the destruction of ocean habitats. Coral bleaches when the organisms that live within the calcified structure die. When they die, the pigmentation of the coral leaves, turning it white like a bone. Not only do these environmentally negligent practices damage the health of the earth, they impact the economic growth and physical well-being of smaller states. This brings us to the concept of environmental racism. Environmental racism occurs when a large or powerful nation's production and consumption practices cause environmental harm to smaller or weaker nations. For example, large states such as the United States or China cause a significant portion of our current pollution and environmental crisis. When these poorer states experience drought and famine, they cannot compete with richer states. Many poor nations such as Mali rely on agriculture for both their domestic and international exchanges, and when they experience drought, they cannot function. Adam Smith's economic philosophies do not account for our dire ecological issues. Some economic philosophers, such as Jay Whitaker, suggest that Adam Smith would encourage the formation of governmental institutions to combat the effects of environmental negligence and encourage the benevolence of individuals to prevent further ecological harm. However, these portions of Smith's philosophy are often overlooked by corporations, and therefore we must reassess the relevance of Smith's perspective on self-interest and the division of labor in an environmental context. However, hope is not lost. Some non-governmental organizations and corporations are doing their part to combat the effects of ecological harm and environmental racism. I encourage you to read up on non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, such as Mallow, who work with states affected by the environmental racism and function in sustainable ways. Furthermore, look for companies with sustainable practices and support them. Remember that small lifestyle changes can make a large impact on the state of the planet. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Teresa Thomas, and I hope you learned something new today.